with the blessings of Lord Shri Manjunatheshwara and our beloved chairman, Virendra Hegadeji. So let us begin with this podcast.
Hello everyone. So welcome to the first ever episode of our Alumni Networking Team podcast. So this is the brand new initiative which we have taken so that each and every alumni which comes, because all are they're experts and they have a lot of experience in the corporate world, and so we don't want to miss a chance to not get to know about them. So we have started this one initiative where we'll be doing a podcast with each and every alumni which will be visiting our campus. So I'm your host Manisha, and
I am Abhishek.
so I'm truly excited to kick off this journey with a remarkable guest, Mr. Ayush Majumder, an SDMIMD alumnus from the batch 2012 to 14. So Mr. Ayush is currently a senior human resource business partner at Marvell India and has previously worked with leading organizations like Infosys, Wipro, and the global IDs. With over a decade of experience in HR strategy, organizational development, and capability building, he has been instrumental in shaping innovative people practices. In this debut episode, we'll be exploring fascinating forward-looking topic, re-architecting the employee experience in metaverse. We'll also hear about his journey to SDMIMD and the corporate world and his insights he has gathered along the way, especially valuable for students and young professionals preparing to step into the business world. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Manisha. Really, it's a great pleasure to come back to campus and talk. It gets a bit challenging because till now you were sitting on the other side, but when you are on stage and you have to talk something relevant to a group which is far more informed than you at this point, it's always a challenge. But thank you to the A.N.T.S committee. You guys are doing a great job in networking with the alumni, connecting with them and inviting them for these talks. So I'm really happy to help and assist in any way.
Thank you, Stanley. So let us begin with the questions. How did your PGDM education influence your approach to business and people management in your HR journey, sir?
Okay, so my PGDM education was something which was very intentional. Before I joined PGDM, I was already decided that I would specialize in HR and I would kind of work in the HR field. So for me, it was every step or every decision that I took at SDMIMD was towards realizing that goal that I had. Many people said that you were taking a risk by just focusing on one aspect, but I knew in my heart that that's something which I'm very good at, so I'm not able to do that. The first year of PGDM was like we were just finding our way. We were getting introduced to new concepts, hearing those lectures, implementing it. At some point of time, we started getting into those discussions around what would be business strategy or what should an organization do. But it doesn't really hit you till the time you go and enter a formal organization and company, right? Here, people were still there to guide you and direct you to an answer. But once you step into the corporate world, if you're fortunate, you have good mentors and you will find good guides. But most of the time, you end up having to look for the answer yourself. So for me, PGDM was a combination of both. I had great guidance from the faculty, but I was also fortunate to get two very, very good mentors in my first company that I joined. So that's what helped me navigate my first few steps.
Right. As a first year student, even I can relate to it that here we will be able to get guidance, but we are worried that even if we step into the corporate world, will we get the same guidance?
So that's be in the state of confusion.
So it is very natural to experience that confusion. If you don't experience that confusion, you'll never actually find a way, right? Only when you are looking for answers, then you actually start forging your own path. Till the time you're being given all the answers, nobody really makes the effort. So it is good to experience that confusion, but it is also very important not to lose heart or lose your way in that confusion, right? Like many a times you have to probably make a transition. So I'll share one example of myself. Like so I had joined this company called Software Paradigms, which was an on-campus placement, and after having spent 2.5 years there, I decided to move to Infosys. Now, the first experience that I had of Infosys was this huge campus that they have and top-notch processes that they have, these really adept speakers who are coming in, business leaders coming in, sharing there. And it becomes very confusing for a new person also, because you have so many systems, subsystems to navigate. You have so many stakeholders. It takes you some time to realize where you actually fit in. Now, how you fit in and how you do that, that's entirely up to you. And of course, the person or the manager whom you are reporting to. So that's how you go about.
So moving forward, sir, you have worked in the leading organizations like Infosys, Wipro, Global IDs, and now Marvell. So how have these experiences shaped your perspective as an HR into the business world and as a business partner?
So this is an interesting question that I like answering. Right? Every organization that I've worked has given me some kind of learning. Now, the basic HR learning every organization has, but then there are certain intrinsic factors which come into play. So my very first company taught me the value of putting in effort, understanding systems, processes, realizing the value of stakeholders, realizing the value of building relations with your team members. HR, your primary job is an employee-facing role. So the value of building relations was something which was taught at a very early stage. The switch to Infosys, again, as I said, it was a movement to a big company. So actually, I understood how are things done from a very large scale. What are the challenges which a very big organization has? But one thing which Infosys did teach me was how do you do things with style, right? It is very important to brand yourself. It is very important to market. It is very important to create that visibility for yourself. So that is something which Infosys taught me first. When I moved to Wipro, this was an organization which was very, very ethical in its, had a very high degree of ethics in their overall business operations. So understanding that how an organization formulates its organization culture, that is something which I learned with Wipro. My transition to Global IDs taught me that as an organizations can be of various sizes. Now, Global IDs was a very small organization. It was a semi-startup, somewhere around 75 people, and we scaled it to 100. To how do you formulate business strategies? How are you able to adapt to the changing environment? What are the ways in which you attract talent? How do you implement strategies of talent retention? Because as a startup environment, you sometimes have to kind of be innovative and see what ways you can get people on board. Culture, how does a small company's culture work? Like the culture in our Infosys will be very different from a semi-startup. How do you tackle that culture, right? So those are certain things which I learned. And my current job, that has taught me one thing. It is very, very important to be patient. Okay? It is very important to be patient. And in your initial years, you may experience rapid growth. You may get quick promotions. But after a certain point of time, it is going to hit a plateau. You may not see vertical growth all the time. So how do you arm yourself with more skills? What are some of certifications that you pick up? You need to invest time in certain roles. So that is something which I've learned in all my companies till now. So that's something which I'm happy to share with the students.
Learning is a continuous process.
It is continuous and it never stops. Every second of our existence, we are learning something or the other. I'm not just talking on a professional front, even on a personal front also. Like when my child was born, I was a new father, and as new parents, you really don't know what's happening. When the child is crying, you start feeling nervous. Why is the child crying? Where do you need to take the baby to the doctor, or you just need to rock the baby to sleep? Why isn't the baby sleeping? So that's also another learning. And once, so it's too early for you, but once you get married, you'll keep learning every day. So learning never stops. Formally, informally, intentionally, unintentionally, everybody is learning something or the other. So it's just that we have to sometimes articulate it. The experiential learning is something which happens all the time.
It's really great insight, maybe, like, because even we are moving into this corporate world, and even we have the things which you have even experienced. So knowing about it beforehand is very insightful for us.
So my question to both of you would be that what is, and this is a question which I asked in the session also, like what is your expectation from an organization? And this is, I'm asking as an HR professional, because I'd like to know what is it that because you guys are probably 11 years junior to me, and I want to know what is it that this cohort or this age group.
So one thing I would expect from an organization is that an environment where I am free to commit mistakes, I'm free to learn, so free to get guided. So we are entering from the educational path to our career. So we need a proper guidance from our seniors to learn things. So the main thing is that I should be free to commit
Safe
mistakes so
space.
that I can learn. This is
Yeah,
the
a
main
safe
thing.
space. Safe space is something which every organization or every business leader is being told. Like, gone are the days where you admonish people for making mistakes. There has to be a certain safe environment where people feel comfortable to make mistakes and realize from that. Of course, a mistake repeating itself is something which no organization tolerates. But somebody making an honest mistake and being candid about it, that is something which we. So, and what else do you expect from a company?
Maybe as a fresher, I would, when I enter the corporate world, I would literally know only the basics, like which I learned from PGDM. So maybe when I enter the corporate world, I would love an environment where I can learn a lot. Maybe even me and my many batchmates are not expecting salary now. We are expecting the experience which we get. They are expecting the learnings which we get from the work. Even when we learn here, it's always about the experience, because if we are going there and they're directly asking us to work on something, and when we don't know a lot about it, so if we are going as a fresher, we'll expect that we need to learn a lot, so that maybe even building our own career there, and maybe if we want to start like a startup, or do something on our own. So we need those learning from the company where we work. So that is the main thing which we are expecting.
Yeah, that's something which every organization is trying to build, a very, very healthy learning culture, as we say, right? Like, now, learning culture not only means preaching and giving lectures, it's also about creating an environment where people feel that I need to learn something new. Like many times it is very natural. Employees get into this mode of, I'm just doing my job, I don't need to do anything else. Like, no, those are those dangerous phases. And trust me, everyone goes through that phase at one point of time. How quickly you are able to get out of that mode, that is something which I would encourage everybody to, like, even I got into that mode at one point where I felt that I'm not getting the right kind of opportunity, so let me just do, I don't need to invest in new learning, I don't need to get into it. But then you realize that the world is moving at a faster pace. You have to kind of be able to not only understand the dynamics, but also understand that what are the new role requirements. Like 10 years back when I started as an HR business partner, it was one thing. At that time, the requirements were only around being the face of employees, advocating for employees. But now it is very different. You have to partner with the business to understand where the business wants to go. How do you mobilize the...
Or with the client also.
Not just clients. So, see, clients will come and go, but the organization is there to stay. Now, how you create that kind of a sustainable culture, that is the key aspect of being in HR. You are creating an organization which will last through centuries. Let's take, for example, the Tata Group. Infosys, for that matter. This is, I think, what they're in their 35th year, I think the 35th or 40th year, right? Like, so these are certain organization cultures which have been built and they have taken time. So as an HR professional, the primary aspect would be to create a sustainable environment. Right? You don't want an organization which will just last for 5 years and then you're just there, you did business, you made money, and then you... Right? So many a times, sometimes you have to get into those thoughts or ask yourself those questions, that what am I doing to create a long-term vision? How do I enable the long-term vision of the company? That's good.
Sir, how about gamification, which has been implemented in the talent acquisition and in the HR process?
Yeah.
How is it going in Marvell, sir?
There are certain roles that we have introduced gamification, but it will not replace the good old time-tested technique of personal interview. Let's try and understand one thing. It is the moment the people realize the basic algorithm of a game or the responses, what are the right responses, people will beat a system. Right? Systems are there with loop. Every system will have its loophole. You cannot. So it is a good way to screen. It is a good way to screen candidates. It is a good way to understand or get an advanced view of how a candidate is. But it should be supported by personal interviews. That is my opinion.
So maybe connecting to that question, talent acquisition part. So what is the mentality maybe the companies are having when they are going for an interview for a new candidate?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the mentality they are having when they are thinking about the talent acquisition?
So nowadays, if you ask me, every organization, when they hire, the hiring decision is based on two factors. Does this candidate have the ability to solve problems for me?
Right.
I will train him, I will give him the required training, but does this person have the ability to solve problems? So in the interviews, that is something which should actively come out from candidates whenever you are interviewing with any recruiter. How do I look at business problems? How do I analyze it? And how do I solve it? That is the primary lookout every recruiter or every company will buy. And then of course there are other aspects also. What is this candidate's ability to learn? How well does he get along with his peers? How does he handle stakeholders? How does he answer questions or give answers to senior management? Is he able to articulate? Now these are something which are there, but the crux of the thing is, do I solve problems for you? That is our concern.
How has it evolved from like before and now, like talent acquisition? Before, did they have the same mentality, or today when the skills are maybe everybody is upskilling, everybody is having, maybe when I graduate, even I will be a PhD student, other person will also be a PhD student. But today, what is that mentality they are having from the before time? Like,
so I'll tell you, like during my time, talent acquisition again was about fulfilling numbers. Right? It's a hard brutal truth, man. My talent acquisition TA peers will probably burn me alive for this, but it was a question of fulfilling numbers. Because if you look at it, 10-12 years back, the Indian tech ecosystem wasn't really geared towards product or development. It was mostly around services. So the companies like TCS or Indian Steel, there was a heavy amount of hiring that happened because you needed bench strength, because you needed project. But now, shifted to 10 years, AI is doing most of your coding work. There is, and Infosys, I think, has put down the thing that in case if you're on bench for more than 60 days, you'll be asked to leave. Yeah. So this is where the thing has changed now. It's no longer about fulfilling numbers. It is coming down to this bare essential truth of how quickly this person is able to get going, get running, and solve the problem. Earlier, there was this very popular meme that had come up. So there was these people, they posed as these mass recruiters. They went to an engineering college and they were loading the trucks and they were seeing the weight is the weight enough? They said, no, we still are 150 kilos short. We said, okay, we see two gardeners over there, break their bone. So this was a joke. So as I said, earlier it was a question of fulfilling numbers, but recruitment leaders also now have a different challenge. How to sort the right talent from that mass which is coming on. Like every year you have almost more than 10 lakh engineering students hitting the market, right? And how many opportunities? Sure. I don't think there's more than 10,000 opportunities a year. These are unverified statistics, but that's where the challenge lies. That how quickly or how well you are able to sort the talent and get the right talent on board. Because companies pay big bucks for the right talent, right? And so that is where these additional assets like gamification or the aptitude tests, or for that matter, coding hackathons, those are certain things which come into play and give you the basic step of sorting people out. But again, these are not one-stop remedial techniques. Some person may have a very bad day and he's not keeping well, but he still has to answer that test. He may not do well on the test, but if you go through his records, you will see that he's been an exceptional student. So that is where also recruiters are being faced with this challenge of being mindful of not just looking at a test score. There are several aspects that you also have to look into.
So what are those two skills which you would never compromise of that a candidate should have? He should have that.
I won't call it skills, I'll call them core behaviors. Right? The two behaviors which I personally value a lot in my team members and the kind of people that I like hiring. One is a very high level of integrity. Dishonesty is something which I just do not tolerate, and that is a habit which is inculcated in every team member. If you've made a mistake, be upfront and tell me I've made a mistake. I didn't know this is something that happens like this, and I made a mistake. I'll take that additional time to teach you. But if you go ahead and start hiding it and blaming it on others, that's something which I really don't like. The second thing which I want is how quickly you are able to identify the solution and come to me. It is very easy to quote models and charts and say, let's follow this model. It is very easy to throw terminology, jargons. But how quickly do you execute stuff? That is something that is a primary skill with not just me, I think every recruiter will look at.
So the term re-architecting employee experience in metaverse sounds futuristic, but could you help us understand what it truly means?
So as I said, right, it's still an evolving concept. It is something which the roles that I showed during the session, right, those are still very nascent roles. Proper job descriptions have also not come out from this. There's just a basic definition of what this person will do. But that's the future. That's something 5-6 years down the line, you will see these new roles happening. For example, if you look at the 1980s, nobody knew about the concept of an HR business partner. They said that what is the guy doing? What are you supposed to do? But now HR business partner is something which is a very integral part of any HR team. But 5-6 years down the line, you will see a lot of metaverse related roles coming up. So for example, the role of a virtual recruitment. I think there were some of the slides with it. Virtual recruitment enabler or a metaverse recruitment enabler. They are responsible for creating the environment for kind of ensuring that people have a good experience. That's from a techno-functional perspective. If you look at it from ethics and compliance, right? Like there's this, with the advent of data privacy coming in, a lot of recruiters are being mindful about using digital sources to engage with candidates, right? So what is the metaverse ethics role? So all these roles are in a very development stage at this point. Maybe 3-4 years down the line, we'll start seeing traction around them. What is the role do? Because just having the role is not enough. If you have to think from an HR person's standpoint, what is the career trajectory? What is the growth path for that person? If I hire somebody in that role, what are the roles and responsibilities? What is the kind of salary that I need to offer him? Right? Because these are not established jobs, and these are new jobs that are coming in, and you don't know how the market pays for them. Right? How do I benchmark it against the? Do I pay them, or do I treat them as an engineering talent, or do I treat them as a core management talent? Okay, so there are a lot of questions which are yet to be answered around this.
And last question. Many of them have a wrong perception that HR, it's not going to work. So nobody is up to taking HR, because due to advancement of technology, they're thinking that HR is going to be replaced. Since you are working as an HR and you have worked as, you are the right person to guide us. So what would you like to say to the
HR will never get replaced as a function. You still need somebody to at least even tell an employee that we are unable to keep you on board and we unfortunately are laying you off. You still need somebody to do that. I'm asking a question. Would you like a chatbot coming and telling you that? All right.
Maybe you like to have some specific reasons. I guess you only on Uber can do that.
So there are certain things like a chatbot or a virtual assistant will give you possible solutions to a scenario. And again, they are just machine-fed scenarios which somebody has fed at some point of time and he is just vomiting out. But as only a human being can choose the right solution for a scenario. Where to pull the trigger, where to take a decision, that's something nobody can replace that human.
cognitive ability
The kind of cognitive ability which a human being brings in, the multifaceted approach which a human being can think about.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I see a lot of my colleagues relying on Copilot and ChatGPT for their work, and that is something which we had tremendous debates about, that we stopped thinking for ourselves. Now that is something we should not do at all. So to answer your question, HR will never get replaced. AI is an enabler. Use it as an enabler. It is not. Some roles will of course get obsolete. Like I spoke about the analytics, HR analytics role, the data management roles, which are there. The employee litigation aspects. Nowadays, you don't need a lawyer to type out your employment agreements. Your Copilot or your ChatGPT gives all of that, right? So these are certain roles which are needed, but when to use where? Like I mentioned one point, that overexposure to technology is something which, as an HR leader, I have to look at. I would not really encourage my team to be over-dependent on technology and give answers what the robot says. I want that ingenuity from the engineering. So long answer short, listen, HR is there. Nobody's replacing. And I myself have asked this question to a lot of my seniors as well. They said that yes, we cannot discount the fact that some roles will not be obsolete, but new roles will emerge. So that's how it is.
So maybe connecting to that question, we can ask that as a student specializing in HR, what are the future opportunities? Because HR is an universal role. He needs to be there in any organization. So what are the future opportunities and PGDM students specializing in HR will have?
So as PGDM students, primarily what I've seen is everybody gets absorbed in the HR function, and then they are given a sub-function. So somebody is good at recruitment, somebody is good at compensation. There are avenues of HR business partnering, there are avenues of diversity and inclusivity team. There's an organization development team that is there. There are teams which work on mergers and acquisitions, right? So there are a whole lot of sub-functions within HR which people can get into. But if you ask me, start your career as an HR generalist. You will get an exposure of all the functions, and then move into a function which you.
So to conclude, technology advancement will help us to focus on the core competency. So other things will be taken care of by technology. So you, the HRs, can get involved in decision making. As you said.
Utilize that. Utilize technology as an assistant. Don't let it replace you. Use it as an assistant. Focus on the things which you haven't thought of till now. That's the message that not just me, every business leader or HR leader will need.
So with this, we would like to conclude this podcast today. Thank you so much, sir, for your time here, and it was very pleasant to hear your experiences, and it is very insightful to learn from our own alumni who has been there, who has experienced a lot in the business world. And our first episode was with you, and we are very happy to do it.
I'm glad also that I have inaugurated the podcast series. Please do send me a copy of it if it is possible.
We are uploading it.
Yes, please upload, and do send me the photos of today. I'd like to, because we also feel very good when we come back to our alma mater and talk to students. It's a big honor for us as well. But so thank you to everybody.
Yes, whatever you say, we are able to connect it actually. So we feel that you are one among us and you are our seniors. So we are able to connect things. So that is the thing.
No, that is always the difference between a alumni coming and talking and a faculty. A faculty always, you still feel hesitant to go to a faculty, but an alumni who makes you feel easy is to come and talk to. I think that is something which I personally always try being that. And that's something which I always do with my team as well, that do not hesitate to come and talk to me. If you need help, I may not give you an answer straight away, but don't hesitate to come and talk.
We are very proud to see an SDMIMD alumnus leading innovation and transformation in the HR space. And to all our listeners, thank you for being part of this milestone moment, and stay tuned for more insightful conversations with SDMIMD alumni. And everybody will make us proud here as we speak to them, and we'll be continuing this journey of podcast. So until next time, this is Manisha
Abhishek.
and signing off.